I just wanted to alert folks that we're having some technical difficulties this evening. We are able to Zoom, so if you join electronically, we think we can see you and hear you. But we are having some difficulties, so please excuse us if you have difficulty speaking to us or vice versa. Tonight's workshop is basically to review the proposed budget from the town manager. Council members, you've already had an opportunity to review the budget, and we've had some meetings up already, which has your opportunity to ask these questions and seek clarity or provide recommendations. But just to alert you that we still have a public hearing on Monday the 22nd over the budget, and there's one final workshop opportunity in June 2 if we should need it. So no finalities in that opportunity to review the budget and seek clarity and ask questions. So, having said all that, Manager Coffey, would you like to give us the highlights of your budget?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening to all of you. We will go through a PowerPoint, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to look at this PowerPoint photo on this piece of paper. Here, I think you all can see the PowerPoint behind me, though, and you also have a copy of it. So the first couple of slides are going to be information requests that certain of you have requested information. One of the questions was, when was the last time a position was added to the police department? That was in 2018, and that was one position. The next is, what is the town's 5-year history of budgets with percentage increases? You'll see a graph there that we've created showing those increases. The very next slide is the question was, what was the last year that the town raised the tax rate? And that the response to that answer to that is 2017. As you'll see there, it's 44 cents at that point in time. And we've remained below at 38 and then 35 after the revenue neutral revaluation cycle. And as you recall, I have also recommended that the tax rate remain as it is at 35 cents per hundred. Had a request for information about the recreation complex. This is also on my town manager's report for Monday night, so bear with me. I'm going to provide the information both times. Probably Monday night, probably not as much as I will tonight in as much detail. The status is that staff is currently waiting on the landscape architect plans. And when those plans are received, the project will go out to bid at that point in time. Once bids are received, the town council will be asked to award the project and update the capital project ordinance with the new figures based on the bids received. So the recreation complex is budgeted within a multi-year budget, which is the capital project fund. Therefore, it spans as many years as we need it to within that project. In other words, it does not fit neatly into one fiscal year. As you'll recall, we started having the discussion and then started the project this current fiscal year. So currently there's $277,546 in the capital project fund for this project. Now, once we receive bids, those bids will probably be higher. I'm assuming they will be higher. And so at that point in time, we'll come back to you probably in about June. That's when we're hoping to get those bids back and award the bidding contract. We would at that point in time ask that you also approve that capital project ordinance amendment at that point. The question was also asked about an update on the grant application that I submitted to the Asheville Buncombe Tourism Development Authority. I did submit an application for $200,000. Unfortunately, I think that based on the timeline for that, those monies, I don't know that we will be able to receive those because the final decision isn't made on those until October 25th, unless they retro pay us or award the grant and give us money to pay us back. But I did go ahead and submit the grant application for that. And then also one thing that I think that we should take into consideration as we're looking into the next year is, we can do this at any point in time that town council wishes to take it up, would be to make a decision on whether or not to charge reservation rental funds for the recreation complex. And I think we need to look at that and think about that from the standpoint of if we are going to market even the small number of pickleball courts that we have, even for a small tournament, we probably want to give some thought to charging for that if folks are coming from out of town and using our courts, because we will have some upkeep and maintenance and cleaning and that sort of thing. So would encourage you all to begin thinking about that. The next slide is new information and or request.
Thanks, Elena.
You see,
Hey, excuse me, quick question back on the recreation complex. As I recall, like when I reached out to you in the 1st of March, it was the same update. We were waiting on the landscape architect. And, you know, that's over 2 months ago. If we're no further along with them, should we be working with a different landscape architect?
they are expected to have the site plans finished by the end of this month. So 2 weeks. So we, at this point in time, for us to change direction would be it would be irregular and probably very inefficient for us to do that at this point, since we're expected to get that final plan at the end of this month.
Yeah, I understand not changing. It's just that's the same update I got when I reached out to you back then. So gosh, that's over 2 months now. So all right, well, it is what it is. Just wanted to note that.
So the next slide is new information and new request or new information that we've received regarding the budget. You'll see the first line there is I have been notified that we can receive a tax credit for the solar project at the fire station that will that tax credit will go from 30% to 40%, which brings us to a savings of roughly $7,500 on that project that we can, if that project is approved by town council, we can have that onto the revenue side of the budget.
We save our questions till the very end.
It's however you all wish to do that.
I would say we do that as we go along. Right, push that now.
Okay, so my question would be, why do we think we need the solar panels at the fire station? Is there something that we absolutely would need to off electricity?
There is
Right.
an emergency generator backup there, trying to look at green economic standpoint as the town pursuing that aspect. Meeting with the manager, look like those people will try to tackle that by first, one being applied to the grant. Also, some cost with the building layout, trying to move forward. We found out most people use some space in this town there, do the solar panel.
Okay.
And as we discussed last meeting, also that the break-even point is about 10 or 11 down the road, but the pencil that's more than 20. So
But
the
there's-
bad advice out there, we'll be getting Apple.
But we also discussed that there's probably never really a break-even point because it's going to cost so much to recycle those and dispose of them and get rid of them. So I know it's a green thing and we have to look at whether or not we want to be green, but it'll never save us.
It will save us money, that's agreed.
Okay.
So I can agree, it's the result they have list 20 years. The life of the average life of the solar panel is 20 years,
Right.
and after that, you have, issues with disposing of them.
Right.
I mean,
Always feeling that.
They can't do that either.
yeah, that's
Any other questions?
It was just a question as if it was a need or if it was a wish.
It's a wish. It's a wish.
The next item is a request that you heard from the Weaverville Economic Development Advisory Committee for $5,000. 2,000 of this is for production and testing of QR code capable information stations for the historic buildings on Main Street. And then 3,000 for honorarium for visiting instructors to lead economic development learning events. The next line there is Buncombe County did not approve the 1 cent fire district tax rate increase that I requested. This results in a decrease of $131,624 in our proposed revenue. And the reason for this, and we'll get into this further when we get further into the line items, but the reason for this is that the percentages of in-town calls was opposite what it was for county or unincorporated calls for service. So we had a shift in the amount of the percentages from, I believe it was 48% in unincorporated and 52% in town. And so in actuality, the county probably could have actually cut us back if they wanted to with that, given the formula. We did have a new request from the Weaverville Senior Dining and Wellness Program. This is a program that was funded, it's 3 to 4 years ago. The town did give some, I believe it was $5,000 at that point. I may be mistaken, but I believe it was $5,000 for the program, the dining program that is held at the Baptist Church at the street on Main Street.
To my advantage is that I've been in that program in the past. Is it still fully functional?
Yes, they go in every day, and some people actually eat there, but a lot of people pick up their meals in the car, so they start forming the line about 11 or 11:30.
The next line is the EV charging stations. As you'll recall, I sent out an email to you just asking for your input as to signing off on the EV charging station agreement. I did receive 4 of you who indicated your agreement with me signing off on that. That is a net expense to the town of $18,316. The next line is reclassification of administrative position in Public Works from part-time to full-time. As you all know, our Public Works Department is very busy all the time, not just daily, but they have large projects on a very regular basis. And one of the things that I've been speaking with Director Pennell about is how he can organize his department going forward to be able to accomplish all the tasks that we need to accomplish. His department is responsible for sanitation, streets, now the new stormwater program, and we simply need someone that's going to help him out more. Right now, we have a part-time position. We really need that to be transitioned to a full-time. I do not have a cost yet for that to determine what that would be, but my thought is that we would open that up to anyone who would be interested in a full-time position, have them go through the application process, and at a grade that would potentially be fairly low in our pay scale. But we really do need that assistance for him and his department in order to just to keep up with many of the in-office type, office manager type issues that need to be taken care of there. And then finally, there on that list is the revised stormwater fees. And once we get over a few slides later on, we'll talk about that, and we'll look at some comparisons to what other jurisdictions are charging for stormwater going forward.
Could I ask a question on that?
Yes, sir.
Why is that put as a fee rather than into the budget for things like public works and other things? We can go ahead and not have tax increases, but if we keep adding fees in, obviously you could wind up having a negative effect on taxes. Keep putting fees in. So I'm puzzled why that's not put in part of the operations of public works and sanitation.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Is the question why?
That, this amount is equivalent to about 1 penny on the tax rate. Why did you put it in as a fee rather than put it in as general operation? The public works is part of their work. Why you
Well,
put it in as fees instead of a tax?
Are you, well, I think, I didn't want to interrupt, are you referring to one of the capital projects being paid for by the sport?
No,
I'm sure I understand.
No, what? Let me interpret. Put it in your budget and then raise taxes. That's what, right, versus a separate fee. Catherine and Doug in the last meeting spoke, not in favor of fees, but in favor of saying if you need $100,000 to do this, the question is, if it's ongoing, you need $100,000. I think their point was, put it in your operation budget, and if we don't have enough money,
there's that.
ergo raise taxes, or as you had said earlier, that potentially take a hunk out of, our savings, so. That, is that
Yeah.
what you're asking?
Yeah, and also we, wound up last time it was like 52,000, and now it's 97,000 more added to it. So instead of it being $2 a month residential, it's now $5. And I mean, that's just, it's a tax bill. We don't need to hide it.
And it's not hidden by any means. It'll be on bills. There's no hiding any kinds of fees. And it comes down to frankly to a philosophy. If this I've recommended it as a fee. If town council wishes to go by way of a tax rate increase, then I certainly will take that direction. It is, sure, I will tell you that the majority of jurisdictions are doing this based on a fee. And as we go into and look at the comparables, you'll see that is where we're going with it. And a fee is just like a tax rate. You can increase that and decrease it any time. And at this point in time, my goal would be that we have this fee in place so that we can have that return on investment. You all have been talking about that return on investment and how we pay for that street sweeper. That is a surefire way to pay for a street sweeper. Whereas taxable, you're always going to be paying that same amount.
So I guess the question, maybe we don't understand, and I'm sure you explain it, but. Is this, do you foresee, so what is the $100,000 going for? That whole big thing that the state said we had to do.
Right, and this year, the recommendation is for the 297,000, I believe it was, street sweeper.
Right.
So that.
Right, but I mean, there's a lot, so we have this stormwater fee based on this mandate from the state, that we had to do a whole bunch of homework and paperwork on, or we were gonna get fined $1,000 a day or something. Is my brain still in the right,
Yes, that's right.
at least book,
That's right.
maybe not the right chapter?
That's
Is some of this money then going to implement what we're supposed to do?
Yes, absolutely. So
I'm trying to regress a little bit, so I think if we had a pop quiz, we'd probably fail 0 to 7.
Is the sweeper gonna be a one-time fee, right? Or is this gonna be this 150,000, is that gonna be every year? You said there's some going,
the fees would continue.
a big part of the fee is buying that sweeper.
That's right. If you look
buy
at,
the sweeper, you don't have that same amount in the budget next year for sweeper.
yes, until the sweeper is paid off. Yes, absolutely.
How much is the sweeper?
$297,000.
And how much of this is for the sweeper?
We've got once we, can we hold that and get to the expenditure side of things? There's more.
Sounds like my direction.
I understand, I'm understanding that when she gets to the point where she's comparing our fees, that might help inform, because your question is a good question, but it might be better formed after she covers the question. We won't forget.
Yeah,
We've got another slide that just addresses stormwater fees. Later in the presentation.
so Tanya is going to take us through our revenue sources and hit the highlights. And you also have a copy of a revised fee schedule with recommended changes in yellow in front of you. You have these emailed to you as well.
So on slide 7, the overview of key revenue sources, those are our three largest ones there at the top. Apple and Warm, as you know, they're our largest source of revenue. And keeping the tax rate at 35 cents, we're looking at an increase of just 3.6% in revenue from the prior year. This is a little lower than we've seen in the past. We're hoping this might go up a bit because this is based on the county's initial estimate for the tax year. So that might go up a little bit before we finalize the budget. As you heard earlier, Buckhorn County denied our 1 cent increase based on the calls, 48% being from the unincorporated area. But Buckhorn County is actually providing 55% of the total budget. So they did not allow us to put the total cost of the pension aid into the budget. They would only allow one debt service payment. And there were some other things like that they pulled out, our budget would not count. So that was their justification for denying it. So that rate will stay at 10.77%. Local option sales tax, we're budgeting 15.8% higher than prior year, but it's actually 7% over our predicted actual number. And the league has predicted a statewide increase of 70%. We typically do better, a little better than the statewide average, so we feel comfortable with that 7% increase. And then, as you heard at your last meeting, interest income, they're predicting the rates to stay between 4% and 5% for the year. So we are anticipating an extra $340,000 in interest income this year. On the next slide, the next 3 slides actually are related to fire department, some new fees that we're recommending. We worked with Chief Harris and we looked at what other local jurisdictions are charging, and we added those fees you see there. The next 3 slides. Getting ahead to slide number 11, parking permit fee. These are just minor items, just to relieve some traffic congestion. We're proposing a $15 a day for construction vehicles, nuisance security alarms. That's in the works. We're going to work on that later. Tap charges and retap fees. We basically look at these every year. Look at what the supplies cost us, what the labor cost us, and you can adjust those accordingly. On slide 12, water system availability commitment fee. The only thing that's changing here is the language you see at the top for multi-family development. For the bigger units, we're proposing that we charge per unit, not per meter. Because for instance, like a complex with a 3-inch meter would pay $300. But if you charge it by the unit, if it's 100 units, it would be $3,500 instead of the 300, which makes it a little more equitable for the number of units.
Can I ask a question? Is this, when we talked last month, is this the place where we talked about, we had the study done that had to be done because of the loan? And then they had 3 options on
Right.
what to charge?
Right.
No,
System development.
That's the very
That's the-
next part.
oh, sorry.
Same
a
slide.
hair too soon.
Almost there.
You're on the right track.
Yes, right below the system availability and commitment fees is the water system development fees. You'll be hearing about this meeting Monday night, Will Van, that we contracted with for that study. We
Okay,
have to have done every 5 years. They'll be here Monday night to present their findings, and then you all will need to decide where you want to set those rates.
it was like, yeah, we got a preview of that. And then there was kind of 3 options, and we're going to talk about that on. And which, you guys plugged in some numbers. Which option is this one plugged in?
That's the minimum for the buy-in method.
Okay,
Just kind of say this.
Maximum under the buy-in method.
maximum buy.
like the hybrid expensive method.
Could you go over just a bit of the various fire department fees? Are these all revisions or new fees or?
Those are all new fees, and anything that's highlighted in yellow in the fee schedule,
Right.
all changes. So all of those are new.
Pete, for these things where we don't, what those towns are already charging for?
Yes, sir. Permit fee itself for the state fire permit. Fire code inspection.
So we were doing sprinkler inspections for free to businesses.
Yes.
So slide 11, I'm sorry, slide 13. At the top there, we are looking at initiating late payment fees on water bills, which is going to be a big change for us. We've not done that. I'm not sure when we did it last, before my time, so it's not happening for at least the last 7 years. I'm not sure why we ever stopped, but we're looking at reinstituting late payment fees. So, we're proposing a $10 fee, after maybe a 10-day grace period. And then we're reducing the disconnect fee, to $40 from the $60. So when you don't get cut off until you're 2 months late. So this kind of takes the place. If you're 2 months late, you're gonna be charged for 10, and then you charge for 40. The disconnect fee.
Is this a big problem for us?
The cutoffs are, it's a lot of work. This is not peak notices, and 10-day notices, and then.
The cutoffs for non-payment.
Yes. Then we have to go out and hang door tags, which is work on our public works department. This is go out there and hang door tag, we give them 48 hours. If they don't pay within 48 hours, then we're cutting them off. And once they pay the reconnect fee or disconnect fee, we have to go back and come on. So we're hoping to by charging late fees, we're gonna. Yeah. Want them to pay before you get to the point of having the water cut off and the work it takes us to get it cut back on.
I understand the incentive, it's just that often I think we use it, we devise incentive programs which take people who don't have money to pay the bill, and what the way we do it, charge them more money. That I understand the incentive, but I'm not sure the methodology.
But I'm sure when they come in, probably when they come in to pay, let's say you get a 10 day, do they get another 10 day after? Okay. So
They get it 10 day and then they get a door tag. If they don't tag.
So if they come in at that door tag, I'm sure you can try to encourage them at that time to set up like an automatic pay or something.
Yeah.
Because you can pay it on a credit card automatically, can't you?
You can pay online, it's instant note, I got nothing to see who's paid. If you call us up and say, I'm doing it right now, or I'm doing it due by noon, but I'm gonna do it at 2 o'clock, we work with you. If we get a phone call from a customer trying to get in to pay, or telling us to pay in, we're gonna work with them.
So do we have a lot of that? We have a lot of customers that always getting their water bill paying on time.
Yes.
We do.
But not necessarily because they can't afford it.
Right.
It's a rich town.
We do have some assistance.
Absolutely, right, but people pay bills late all the time,
Right.
like millionaires pay bills late all the time. So, yeah, I think, I don't know where Michelle was headed, but sure, if you had, we're getting ready to have, I don't know, whatever the Monticello project, apartments for low income. Are they gonna be able to pay their water bill? No, because, the other guy said they're paying the water bill, right? It comes with it. So I think when people have lower incomes, there's mechanisms in place hopefully to pay it. So again, it's a valid question. Are people not paying the water bill because they're poor? Or because they don't know how to pay their bills on time or manage their money?
One of the things that, and not to knock the post office, but in the last 2 years, we don't get our mail on time, almost never. So if people are waiting to get their water bill in the mail, it's already 4 days past whenever it's due. Unfortunately, it's terrible.
Because everything takes us in.
It goes to Greenville. I mean, if you mail a birthday card to you and Selena, if I mail a birthday card to Selena, it will take 4 days or 6 days for her to get it from my house to down here, 200 feet.
Why would you mail it?
I'm just
They're
saying,
going home to deliver it.
you know,
So my assumption is that we have a pretty low actual cutoff rate. Would that be accurate? How many times do you actually have to cut someone's water off?
More often than you would. think.
Yeah.
Really?
It's a handful every month.
Really?
We probably made 20 times or so. On average, and then all but maybe 4 or 5 pay and cut them off and.
But 20 out of 3, don't we have 3,000? That's, yeah, so 20 out of 3,000 is not a whole lot. I mean, it's a whole lot to have to go manage to your tax. But percentage wise, not.
It could meld in your tax.
At least we don't go for a shop at the town hall negative.
Unless it's the problem for the opening up.
We don't have an assistant, we receive funds sometimes from.
Other organizations.
Yes.
So for instance, social services, will help people who need assistance. There's a couple of, nonprofit charities in Buncombe County that will assist people.
And the county itself has a program. So our water rate increase, as you heard, the last meeting was, recommending a 4% increase in our water rates, and that's based on our last water rate study we had from the engineering company. That water rate study will be quickly updated in the coming year, and we'll have a better idea after this year, what our rates need to be. So skipping ahead, and yeah, all the changes to the water rates are simply the 4% increase. Slide 16, it's all about the stormwater fee comparison. We talk about that.
Yeah, so what I wanted to add to this conversation is that, and we can actually discuss it in the expenditure side as well, but one of the things that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of is that the street sweeper, the 297,000, is not the only part of the stormwater program. There's an entire $172 for the operations alone. So this is truly an unfunded mandate, state mandate. And so, you know, my thought process when recommending the fee was to follow along the lines of what everyone else is doing, especially everyone around us is doing, and really across the state. On listservs, there's I have not, in fact, I haven't seen anyone on my city and county manager listservs that are talking about a tax rate increase. They're using fees for this purpose. So just keep in mind that you know, there's almost $175,000 in operational expenses annually that will continue from here on out, and that may be an area where you want to have an increase in the tax rate. Again, it's a philosophy issue, and town councils.
How would you collect this fee?
The fee will be on our billing that we send out.
I'm in favor of it.
You'll get a one-time bill. It says people who don't have, not on water get a one-time bill.
So as you look there, initially, we had programmed in the $2, but then we started talking. A group of us started talking about how we go about looking at residential, that based on sizes and based on impervious surface, as well as looking at commercial, multifamily. And that's where we came to the tiered approach, where you see the revised plan there on the far right on the slide in front of you.
And so it gets the size of an ERU, but what exactly is an ERU?
Equivalent residential unit.
Where are we at? What page is it?
Slide
16.
Hey, Jake, slide 16.
Okay. I thought
Turn
that-
off of the slide.
I can't see those numbers up there anymore. Okay.
There's a little more information on the stormwater fees, just another slide to provide additional. Any other questions on revenues before we jump into expenditures? All right. So going into expenditures, we're going to hit some. This is one of the items that has taken most of, staff time and energy and aggravation and all the things. Medical insurance, we were quoted originally, by our Blue Cross Blue Shield at a 41% increase. We were able to then get it down to 70. That was in order to keep our the plans that we have right now. We were looking at a 17% increase. With our broker's assistance, we were able to shop the market. I will tell you that there were a couple of insurance companies that will not touch us. They do not want to deal with small.
How many
units of
people?
government.
Yeah, we have the same problem. How many people you got in the plan?
84. 84. So I think Aetna and United both declined even quoting, and that's not.
Because that minimum number.
It's right. So we were forced to choose some lesser plans, to bring the total increase to 12%, that we've got budgeted right now. The reduced amount that the town pays towards, dependents, is for the base plan. So we've got we're going to offer 3 plans at this point in time. One of those is, a base plan. It's an HSA plan. Then there's another one that's what they call a hybrid plan or a 1-2-3 plan. And then the other is our current PPO plan. That one is what we are considering a buy-up. So in other words, if I want to have I'm buying up right now to have a better plan. If I want to continue buying up, I can buy up at the same amount, but I'm gonna have a lesser plan, no matter what. There's no way.
What's the buy-up cost you a week? Or are you paid weekly or bi-weekly or monthly?
Paid bi-weekly, it's gonna be $40, roughly $40 a month
The buy-up.
for the buy-up.
What's the out? What's the out of pocket? On
Like total premium,
Like total out, so you got, so what's your, I'm just trying to compare it.
out of pocket max for
Right.
an individual will be
Right.
3,500.
Okay, and then what's the deductible?
The buyout will be
Yeah.
1,500.
And so basically $20 a week
Now.
for the one level, but you're earning another level.
Right. We wanted to offer the 3 options because for instance, with the HSA option, if you're a single person, no family, and you're healthy, an HSA is going to be the best for you, and the town will pay for it. The 1-2-3 plan was better for those who is employed plus family. So their children and they're able they still have to pay for that to add their family. But they're able to do that and not have the burden that they would if they only had the HSA. In other words, they can cover their children. I'm not saying this, jump in if I'm not saying it clearly enough. Insurance it has been so confusing. But with the PPO, you're still getting a PPO plan that all of our employees are accustomed to, because that's what we've had for so many years. This is the first time that we've gone to an HSA plan. But we literally had no option if we wanted to maintain a decent rate of the increase. And 12%, I'm not happy with the 12% increase, but it's
41.
It's a whole lot better than we.
How do Weaverville compare to some of the other towns like Yellowstone, Woodford and those? Coverage. Employees have to pay for some.
We have a good plan. We don't have the best plan. They're becoming, surprisingly, they're becoming more and more jurisdictions that are actually adding dependent coverage back. as as an incentive for employees to get employees to come work for them. They're adding, and those are mostly self-funded. So for instance, in my former life, we were self-funded, or self-insured. We could really keep our premiums down very well. But when you're dealing with a small government like we are, with such a small number of employees, it gets more expensive. But
Hey, Selena. Hey, quick question. You might have covered this before. My apologies, but have we looked at, or is there an option of working with other municipalities and to raise the size of the group for insurance?
we have looked at that. There's a program. They call it GAP insurance, and it's not the GAP insurance that we're all thinking of when we buy a car or a house, or it's it's where basically insurance companies will gather a group of like sized and demographics, companies that have the same type of demographics, and they pull them into a pool. And so that is one thing that I want us to this year look into as an option for us next year. The problem, we did have them take a look at that this year for us. It was not going to give us any savings at this point in time.
Okay.
But we do want to look at that and some other ideas that our broker has brought to us as we go into this upcoming fiscal year.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. I apologize, you scared me, Jeff. You were talking out of Jennifer's laptop and I wasn't expecting it, so. So we'll go into the next slide. I'm going to go in pretty rapid succession on these next slides, unless I see you all raising your hand or yelling at me to stop. Governing body, and I'm going to hit some highlights here. You have this information that came to you with the budget message, but just to hit some highlights in the governing body, there's budget. There's an increase for the mayor and town council stipend proposed at $7,800 and $4,800. These are $3,600 and $1,800 respectively. And then the operations line is a slight increase there, and that is because it includes 1/3 of the LED lighting conversion expense. You'll see in the next slide is administration. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Here's our comparisons for elected officials. No, this is fine. This is fine. You'll see that you are way down at the bottom.
We can't afford our insurance, I'll say that.
Interestingly enough, Canton does not, they do not pay their governing body, but they pay their insurance. So,
I'll take that.
So let's go to the next slide.
No, used to, Weaverville, they didn't pay the council people anything, they paid the water.
Well, so far,
It's only slightly.
we could have three plans. You can choose your water, your insurance.
All jokes, folks, whoever's listening to this, it's all jokes. Administration increases in personnel is related to a full year of being fully staffed. And then operational expense includes some additional 45,000 to replace HVAC units right above us actually, and then 1/3 of the cost of the LED lighting conversion. Next slide, please. Planning and code enforcement, operational expense here includes $20,000 for outsourcing of GIS function. Mr. Eller did request a position this year to do GIS work. In talking with him, we felt like it was best to move forward with outsourcing this function. And we believe $20,000 will definitely cover that and be a better cost savings to the town. Capital does include the replacement of town vehicle. And that vehicle is needed to be replaced for at least a couple of years now, so, that one is on queue for replacement. Police Department, the proposed budget does include a half-year expenses for 3 police officer positions and a full year of a police records evidence specialist position. Operational includes a 3% increase in the county dispatch fee, and then 1/3 of the LED lighting conversion expenses. Capital also includes half of the barrier trailer system cost at $90,000. The other half of that is in the fire department budget. This does also include 3 patrol vehicles and funds to convert storage space to office space. The next slide you should see, and Jeff, this is just for you. You wanted pictures of these things. This is a picture of the barrier system. And as you all know, and sadly, we have seen so many tragedies coming, that other parts of the country are facing, where folks are driving into parades and harming people, killing them. So this is a system that would be put in place when we're having parades and large events that we are having more and more of those.
How structurally are those as far as preventing some wild person comes through?
I saw
I
it.
just can't visualize.
Chief Davis can speak to it further, but when I was looking through photos and videos of this system, cars do not get past that unless they drag the whole thing with them.
Very secure. You won't, there, nothing's an absolute.
Sure.
But for the vehicles that are up here, for the speeds that I anticipate will be in high state, they're not going to do the system.
Okay, thanks.
Next slide, please. Fire department. This includes funds for hiring bonuses that were approved this last year. As you recall, you approved those for a portion during the current year. The other portion was to fall into this upcoming year. So that is included there, as well as some incentive pay for training and certifications that was requested. And this, by the way, is across the board in much smaller amounts. However, firefighters generally have opportunities where they can go get specialized training. And obviously the training and certifications would have to be approved by the fire chief for them to even be able to go and be trained, but they will get a $250 to $350 incentive for those type one-time pay there for those types of things. Operational includes the county, the payment to the county, increases in building repairs and maintenance, some increases in training and vehicle maintenance. Also includes LED scene lighting for the ladder truck 8.
What is PSIP?
PSIP is the, help me out guys here.
Public safety interoperability plan.
Does that help?
No, that was great.
Yes, it's public safety.
It's supposed to be with the county.
Also included here in capital is, or in capital improvements, is the $75,544 for the installation of solar panels that we discussed earlier. And capital outlay includes $300,000 for the initial payment of new engine 8, and the other $90,000 for the vehicle barrier system. Next slide. Public Works, this includes all divisions meaning streets, power bills, sanitation, stormwater management, and grounds maintenance. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. It's going to show you the largest chunks of money that are in this budget proposal. For streets division, $350,000 for our ongoing street improvements program. $50,000 for sidewalk repair, miscellaneous sidewalk repair, streetscaping, and ADA projects as necessary. The stormwater division, $75,000 for a storm drainage pipe replacement program. Grounds maintenance division, $35,000 for the repair of riser and trash rack for Lake Louise Dam, and $15,000 for the repair of trash collector at Lake Louise 4 Bay. Capital outlay going into here, the 334,000 for the new garbage collections truck. I've got you a photo in just a minute, Jeff. And
And a
then
free ride.
storm, and you get a free ride too as well. The stormwater division is 297,000 for the new street sweeper. And then finally, 199 for the replacement of the playground equipment with an accessible, more accessible set. Go to this next slide.
In terms of percentage increase, you win the prize.
Absolutely, yes.
Before we do talk of trucks, can we go back up to, operations, 631,897. So operations goes down by $500,000. Why? Tell me, explain, please.
Let me go to my details.
It's not making sense to me, that whole thing, right?
I mean, that really,
Not retired tomorrow.
because the FY 23 is the amended budget, and I believe that's the, street repair, street
That's-
repaving program that got reappropriated into
Push forward.
this year, so it's kind of double for FY 23, because it includes FY 22 that got reappropriated.
There's 400,000 and that was really, it's.
So that's for the paving of the streets that we actually only do every 2 or 3 years. Or something.
No,
We put money in.
our goal is to do it every year. But with all of the projects that Dale and his folks have been undertaking, we have not been able to make those projects happen in the last fiscal year. So we reallocate that money for the same projects until the next year. And that's 400,000 last year.
Good catch, Does that make sense, the explanation?
I think so.
We can,
Timing.
yeah, we can pull that out and itemize it better for you if you'd like us to do that. Happy to do that. We're not cutting them just haphazardly. I promise you.
Okay.
So Selena, the ask there is, that's the whole truck, right? Not just the arm component. We're not retrofitting an existing truck, is that correct?
That's correct. It's an entire truck with the arm there, as you see in the photo.
So the way that's supposed to work is one, you have a driver and nobody else.
That's correct.
And so I laugh when I say this. When you go along the street and the can is not in the right place, or it's turned around backwards, or it's got too much junk in it, is the truck gonna keep going by? And then who's gonna come over and pick it up? Because I know our public works is always so nice and so proficient, and if we get complaints, they're gonna go right back out and pick it up anyway. So how are we gonna handle this? I know it's supposed to be a training process, but I also walk the streets every day of my life, so.
Bill can answer about the truck itself and what happens there, but we do make a kind, and I think this is a very good time to share with the public. You all know this, but the public needs to be aware that we do make accommodations for people on a regular basis.
Yes.
And that could mean go right up to their garage and pick up their garbage and bring it, you know, put it in the back of another truck. But Dale, you want to go ahead and respond to the question?
Thank you for that. We are maintaining our set out program, and that's just over 100 homes now that we go and actually pick up their garbage in their garage or their back porch or whatever. Put them in pick up and then go meet our garbage truck and unload that. So we'll continue that. On your original comment about what folks lay a flat bag beside their full garbage can. We're gonna make sure over the next 8 to 10 months after we actually order it, to educate folks to say, we're gonna pick up the can, but we're gonna have the piece, the whole purpose, that the driver has to get out of the truck and go to manipulate the garbage somewhere.
Well, it's probably not safe for him to get out of that truck either. I mean,
Well, that's always forget them. You don't have two people on this, you know, the back. But at some point, we'll use the operable truck to pick up the full garbage can and dump that, and put the can back and drive on to the next address. And then, so at some point, folks, they can't get all the garbage in one toter on a weekly basis, they have to buy a second.
So then that leads me to the path of, we talked about this last week. There's 8 garbage cans, I believe, that sits at the yellow mud bowl. Okay,
They've added, we had nothing, and now we have an option.
good, because I got to thinking about, I walk by them all the time and they're right on the sidewalk, and so I'm glad that, because I was thinking, how on earth are we gonna protect the pedestrians walking up down the street when the arm goes out and grabs the can, okay?
It's, you know,
Yeah,
walk fast.
yes. Carrot, big stick. Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
People get this program.
Eventually.
When the black bags don't get picked up, don't
Right, don't pick them up. Right, you know, that's not the rule, don't pick them up, help the old lady who can't wheel it down. And how do people apply for that program? I know an old lady needs help.
Then, I call their office, we provide them with a one-page form, and then we,
Okay,
when they fill it out, we go and make sure that everything's on the up and up, and then program.
yeah, and maybe we need to make sure. Because I know there was a little pushback when we got the bigger recycling cans, and I won't mention Dottie by name. You know, I think if we, whether you've already done it in your, monthly newsletter for the elderly or the people who can't actually do it. The goal is not to leave those folks high and dry. But the folks who are ready, willing, and able, and lazy, who don't have to follow rules, they can run high and dry.
One more thing I did want to mention, I mentioned this to Selena, and I don't know how everybody else feels about it, because I'm sure a lot of people have more recycling stuff than I do maybe, but, Doug and I probably only put out our recycling can once a month, or, you know, and a lot of people in Highfields, you know, I'm sure they don't recycle, you know, the can every week. So one of my questions to Selena was, could we save any money if we only offered the every other week recycling program? Because that's how the county does it for my mother-in-law's pickup. And even hers, we only push down once a month. So I didn't know, and Selena said it's a charge. It's not like we're making any money off of it. We charge people what Kirby charges us.
Correct.
But I did wonder, you know, if we were to go to it every other week, could it save money? And that way, maybe if people did get this $5 stormwater thing, but yet they save some on their recycling thing, that it kind of, it's not quite as noticeable.
We can look into that for sure.
That would be interesting from Kirby's aspect to go, it's about, you know, are the recycling toters actually half full? Do you pick up every week from a normal resident? Probably not.
There, it really depends, I think, on how many Amazon deliveries you get. And if you recycle all the cardboard.
Well, if they break it down properly, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
down at the lid on.
But my get started, the people are now putting out the black bags, so the garbage stuff, they'll learn to recycle better. I think that keeps stocking up their black bags.
That's true.
So the next slide is another slide for you, Jeff. Street sweeper truck there. Just a couple of photos of that truck.
Now, this sweet.
Yeah, that's a nice looking ride there.
I'm sorry. What was-
The sweeper,
Is it a vacuum?
is it a vacuum also?
Yeah, yes, it goes back into the dumping part there that you see in the picture.
Okay.
Jeff, you had a question?
Nope, looks good. Appreciate that visuals.
You get the first ride.
Yeah,
And then the next slide there is, as you see, the playground equipment. And this is just a mock-up of of what the company that we got the quote from provided us, so the colors can obviously change.
Can we get the recreational complex built before we install this? Well, my not.
We will have we should have the recreation complex finished, very soon after we get the bids to you all for approval at the June meeting. We'll start on the project. Public Works has already been doing a lot of that work down there.
Do you think that'll be finished before my term ends?
Yes.
Hey, Selena, do we have any means of monitoring how much all the recreational equipment is actually used? Not just, I know this is different because it's accessible, but do we have any way of keeping up with how much it's actually being utilized throughout the park?
We could install cameras and AI.
Yeah.
Jeez. Just go down, walk down there, man. Don't be in Atlanta. Go to the.
I mean, there's truly not a day that I go by there, where there aren't children. Or children on that equipment or adults using our outdoor fitness equipment.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's very well used. And so well used that it's aging and becoming unsafe in spots because it's 25 years old, I think is what you shared with me.
We could move the office on the community center to the front of the building and give her binoculars and equipment.
And count.
If she just had an old fashioned clicker.
There you go. There you go. So the next slide is the water fund. And you'll see capital outlay here includes the replacement of some aging equipment. Misspelled pouring, I apologize for that. 4 Chemtrack pouring and pH meters, and then 6 turbidity meters and controllers. Capital improvements includes funds for the new water line replacement program. I've shared with you before that I didn't want us to get into the position that the city of Asheville was in around Christmas. And so we have added funds to start replacing old water lines. And this will be done very similarly to the way we do with street improvements. We will have it on a scheduled basis. And certain lines will be replaced based on their age or functionality issues.
And Randall, when's the percentage of budget increase support?
And the final slide tonight is to remind you, we've got a public hearing on Monday night. Obviously, we've got another budget workshop, and please, as you continue to have questions, please share those questions with me and let us get responses to you. And what I like to do is when we're responding to you, I always try to copy all of you so that everyone gets the same information when you get it. So please let us know if you have additional questions, and we can answer for you before the workshop or bring it back to the workshop. We will get some more detailed information on that operational decrease, just to show you exactly where those lines have decreased in public works. Absolutely.
When is the next time the county is evaluating, that next year?
Yeah, two more minutes.
So the way things look, property values certainly will consider.
I have not ever seen them go down. So,
I'm just thinking the tax rate.
Get out.
Are there any other questions or suggestions for the town manager on the budget at this point? Just remind the public as well as online, there's a public hearing on this issue next Monday, the 22nd. So until then, if there's no other questions, the work of the first committee group, we are adjourned.
Who's the mayor?